Good Sunday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hurricane Hub discussion for today, May 28th, of course, a Sunday, 2023. Let's get right on along with it, starting off with the National Hurricane Center page, as I always would. With, of course, that area of interest off the Carolinas, still a 0% chance, not expected to develop. Did bring, of course, heavy rains and very gusty winds to the Carolinas coast yesterday, although I do think conditions are beginning to improve today. So if you are worried about, especially yesterday, probably being a very, I would say, nuisance type of day for the Carolinas, I believe, at least by the look of it, um, it should be getting a little better today. But of course, as I did mention before, um, this is not expected to really develop into any sort of tropical or subtropical entity. So no worry about that. And of course, that's especially because it's probably about to move inland within the next several hours. So of course, it will not have any time to develop to do so as well. And then the 5 day outlook, showing the same thing, nothing expected there, and then nothing expected within the next 7 days. I should say 7 day outlook. Um, in the Eastern Pacific, so no worry of concern for development anytime soon. And taking a look at the satellite, you could see it how it's really not going to develop because it's right by the coast. One and number two, there's absolutely no convection with the low-level swirl. There's actually a low-level swirl associated with this though, and so I guess there was some sort of low-level center or vortex. It was just a matter of conditions not really being favorable for any tropical or subtropical development. But of course, this did bring a very good share of rain to the Carolinas. Although you can see there's a lot less convective activity associated with it today, so I assume that that would mean that there is less cloud cover, maybe a little bit of sun peeking out over some portions of the Carolinas this morning. Hopefully so, because I would imagine, especially after yesterday, I saw that they were getting a lot of rain there, and of course there was a lot of rain predicted, and they also had a moderate chance for excessive rainfall and potential flooding. So I would imagine they got a lot of rain, and I would hope that they're clearing out today so you can kind of get a little bit of a breath of fresh air. And also, of course, since it is Memorial Day weekend, people could go to the beach and enjoy it instead of having to spend the weekend home being washed out. And there is still a little bit of rainfall left, and you can actually see that there is some sort of low level vortex with it. Almost kind of looks like a tropical system or subtropical system a little bit, but of course the organization is not really there. It is right off the coast of the South Carolina coast, right near Myrtle Beach, it seems like, and there's only a couple of scattered showers left, maybe a thunderstorm, a line of thunderstorms associated with this moving through the Outer Banks over North Carolina right now. But of course, especially compared to yesterday, I remember seeing the radar yesterday, a lot of rain all over the place, and there's much less of it today, so maybe a better day in store for today. Widening the view to the entire Atlantic, and basically the same thing as we've been seeing over the last few weeks, of obviously since it is still May, although we're getting very close to June. It's May 28th, so 3 more days till we are at the start of the hurricane season. Well, I think actually more or less 4, but you get the gist. There are still strong upper level winds, though, dominating, especially over the eastern Atlantic. Though very strong convective activity. This is more likely associated with the ITCZ, but whatever it is, that is very interesting. And then, of course, you see these strong upper level winds prevailing elsewhere across the basin, too, and even a little bit of that in the eastern Pacific. Though I guess it is somewhat less, but nothing really expected there, as nothing is organizing right now. And you can take a look at the upper level winds. You don't really even need a wind shear graphic to see that there are a lot of strong upper level winds across the basin right now, but why not show it anyway? And you could see it. Upper level winds, wind shear upwards of 60 knots, especially over the southwestern Atlantic. That's where it seems to be its peak. Though I am starting to see a little bit more of these pockets of green. Green meaning more favorable wind shear, more weaker, not as strong upper level winds, which is what we typically look for in the development of tropical cyclones. We're starting to see a lot more of that beginning to appear in portions of the basin. So that is definitely a sign of change beginning to occur. And then, of course, you could see strong upper level winds, though, extending into the eastern Pacific. Although a small patch, I guess, of less wind shear near the equator. probably where that big convective outburst is occurring there. Though it doesn't seem like things are really trying to get going, so I wouldn't worry about that. But generally, things are still not very favorable right now. It's still going to take time, of course, for things to get going. But remember how I said with the 850 millibar vorticity, and really quickly before that, definitely some sort of vorticity that did try to get coupling together, that did try to tighten off the coast. And you could take a look on the radar. You see that spin. That does indeed translate to vorticity. By the way, this is the 850 millibar vorticity product. So basically spin in the atmosphere roughly about 5,000 feet up from the surface. That is the 850 millibar vorticity product. That's what it means in a general scheme of things. And basically, this product is indeed showing that there has been a lot of vorticity off the Carolinas coast. And you saw the radar just now. You saw that there was indeed some spin being detected by the radar, and that's being definitely translated by these brighter red colors of vorticity, meaning stronger vorticity, stronger spin right off the Carolinas coast. So that is indeed interesting. And remember how I said to watch over the next 2 weeks how we begin to see a lot of this mid-latitude energy begin to die down, and we see a lot more of these greens and some of these yellows as well begin to develop in the deep tropics. Well, look what we're having. We're definitely, compared to the last few weeks, a lot more green and even a little bit of oranges beginning to develop across the deep tropics, even along the ITCZ, especially near South America, and even in the Eastern Pacific too. We're starting to see a lot more spin, a lot more vorticity action occurring. Definitely a sign of things beginning to change. And I would imagine as we get over the next 2 weeks, we'll start to see even less of a bunch of these reds and even these whites depicting really strong spin in the atmosphere, kind of beginning to die down in the upper levels, in the upper latitudes, and we'll start to see a lot more of that, even more in the deep tropics, and that'll really show the transition from winter to summer occurring, and the favorability in the atmosphere beginning to change more in favor of hurricane season. So definitely watch for that as over the next few weeks. Did decided to bring this up though because we've not really brought it up much, but definitely over the next few weeks as we start to move along, this will become a lot more of a relevant thing. Saharan air, and I'm kind of interested how there's not a lot of it actually, because usually we would have a lot of Saharan air, especially, well, to give it credit, it's not really the peak time for Saharan air. We usually see a lot of outbreaks of Saharan air dust that usually comes off the coast of northern Africa and then kind of spreads across the entire Atlantic. And usually that's what kind of keeps things unfavorable, especially out east for the first 2 or so months of the hurricane season. But I'm kind of surprised, especially given this year's setup, that there's not a lot of Saharan air right now. Maybe it'll kind of pick up as we head into the next few weeks. Maybe we'll see a little more come off, but still kind of interested how there's actually quite little of it, at least over the MDR right now. And especially towards the Caribbean, there's barely any detected Saharan air dust there at all. So that's definitely interesting for sure. But of course, we'll see how that fares as we go towards June and July. I definitely think it'll probably change, and we'll probably see a little more by then. Really quickly though, the models, and you can see off the Carolinas coast, though it does move in over the next 6 hours or so. And then probably as we head into Monday, you can see this area of vorticity begins to die down. So I would assume any rain showers or thunderstorms associated with this big system kind of slowly tapers off into the rest of the day. Then probably by Monday and into Tuesday, we should be seeing a lot more better conditions over the Carolinas. And then as we go towards Wednesday, we're now 3 days out. And then we just go on to the forecast. Now we're at 120 hours out, 5 days, nothing really on the models. And then we extend it all the way up to 168 hours out. Maybe this interesting pocket of vorticity, though it doesn't really look organized in any form. So probably nothing to be concerned about there. And then we're right there at 7 days at the mark that the National Hurricane Center has, and we don't really have anything going on. So it doesn't seem like we have much of concern for development, at least over the next week or so. And then we go towards the Eastern Pacific. And what I would assume at least is, let's really quickly backtrack on the models, see if there's anything in the Eastern Pacific. give a chance for the model to load, but running through the model seems like it's also the same. Nothing expected in the Eastern Pacific as well, and go out to the next 168 hours, next 7 days, nothing expected to develop too. And why not go to 384 hours out? Maybe there's something that does try to get going there. That's by hour 300 and doesn't really look all that organized as well. Maybe that'll be something though. In the near future, if it does move up, maybe it tries and we start getting a little bit more of a bona fide signal. Whatever, that's really stretching it though. That's getting to hour 300 and past that, and usually anything in that range, especially in this part of the world, the GFS, we usually view it as fantasy land for the GFS, meaning basically it's not that reliable, so it's not really something to be too concerned about. And if anything were to occur, it'll be away from land anyway, so that's also kind of adding to not really being any concern for it. So I did want to mention though, if you did not catch my video yesterday, I did mention this. Day one, I'm doing a live stream. If you've been following me, especially since 2020, took those videos down, but I did used to do live streams every single start of the hurricane season. Every single June 1st, I would do a live stream at 7 o'clock Eastern time, to kind of kick off, or kind of celebrate almost the hurricane season starting. And so we're going to do that again this year, hurricane season 2023, day one, live June 1st, 7 o'clock. We're going to include new predictions that I'm going to release for the Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific, and maybe the Central Pacific as well. And we're going to do hurricane discussions as well, talking about climate and also hurricanes and our personal thoughts. And of course, got to add some fun, because not everything has to be serious in life. Life is too short, so why not add fun? We're going to do that, fun and trivia. We hope you join us, and if you're not yet subscribed and you want to join us for that, please subscribe. Would also help us kind of grow the community as well. And also, if you are already subscribed, just kind of giving a reminder, gotta promote, to kind of get an audience to that, you gotta promote. So that's what I'm doing. But anyways, I do hope you join, and I hope you have a fun time if you do join, and I hope that I'll be able to get this all together. I am gonna have some people, some of my friends that I kind of have in the weather community, you might know them. I'm going to have them on, and we're going to also discuss tropics as well. So if you are, of course, willing to join, we're going to have multiple people on, and we're going to have a nice time, and I hope you are able to join as well. But with that being said, I'm going to get off. No discussion tomorrow because, of course, it is Memorial Day, so I'm not going to post tomorrow. But I will resume posting on Tuesday if, of course, there is anything. Or maybe I might take Tuesday off as well from posting. But most likely I will post Tuesday. But tomorrow, definitely not. And with that being said, enjoy Memorial Day. If you have any soldiers in your family, thank them, of course, for the service that they did to this country. That is very important. And, of course, spend time with them and spend time with your family. And enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we'll see you back on Tuesday.